Yeah, I mean, to me, challenges cannot take that long. That's it ruins the flow of the game. I get it, it's early in the year, the refs want to make the right call. We can't sit there for 2.5, 3 minutes and on an obvious hit out of bounds off of them and still not know the call. I get it, there's things to look at. The fouls are definitely surprising at times. I feel like I do get held.
She sold this flop perfectly. I gotta tip my hat to it. Had her hand on her chest. Most people who flop, they always do the little face thing. And she sold it perfectly. I gotta give it to her. Here's like a play from a different game. Watch Caitlyn's reaction.
Excuse me, they got it on Caitlyn Clark.
She wanted to really call out the refs.
You ever watch a basketball game and think, what in the world are these refs watching? Like, are they even looking at the court? Welcome to the WNBA, where apparently the rulebook is more of a suggestion, a loose guideline, than a set of actual rules that should be enforced consistently. Caitlyn Clark, the league's golden ticket, the player who's revitalizing women's basketball, is out here just trying to play the game, but she's accidentally signed up for Wrestlemania WNBA edition. From getting smacked around like it's dodgeball season in gym class to refs squinting at calls like they left their glasses at home, the madness is real, the confusion palpable, and the comedy, if you can call it that, is unintentional, and frankly, quite embarrassing. Did someone forget to tell the officials the game wasn't just tag you're it? Because the way they're calling it, or not calling it, it feels more like a playground free-for-all than a professional basketball league. The fouls called, or more accurately, not called on Caitlyn Clark are genuinely surprising at times, even to seasoned basketball observers. It's like the refs are playing a different game entirely, one where the rules are constantly shifting and the whistle is blown based on some arbitrary, unknowable criteria. 1 minute, a player is getting full-on tackled driving to the basket, a move that would earn a flagrant foul in any other league, and there's no whistle. The next, a defender breathes in Clark's general direction, a seemingly innocuous movement, and suddenly the whistle is blowing like it's the grand finale of a fireworks show, a dramatic and unnecessary interruption. This isn't just inconsistent, it's baffling, frustrating, and frankly, quite dangerous. And it's happening to the league's biggest star, the player who's single-handedly dragging the WNBA into the mainstream spotlight, the player who's responsible for increased viewership, sold-out arenas, and a level of excitement the league hasn't seen in decades.
Oh, I don't know. Competent officiating?
After watching tonight's Chicago Sky and Indiana Fever game, I think it's safe to say we can all agree that Caitlyn Clark is the Rookie of the Year. I know some people still had a little bit of doubt as to whether or not it should be a co-Rookie of the Year because, look, Angel Reese has been putting up some crazy numbers. Obviously, tonight she had another double-double, 23 for the season, most in WNBA history for a rookie. But the race is over. Beginning of the season, before the All-Star break, the Olympic break, I should say, it was kind of neck and neck, and I would have given him like a top.
I think it's different this time around because she's like one of the greatest we've ever seen. You know what I mean? Like she's like Steph Curry out there, bro.
Exactly.
Just pulling up from anywhere, getting any type of bucket.
Bro, I think in a couple of years she gonna figure it out when she gonna be a monster.
And when she get a little bit more weight on her too.
Yeah, because like even like Steph Curry, it took him a couple of years to get to adjust to the physicality of the NBA.
Yeah,
but when he did though, he's like, all right,
she gonna be cooking.
I can still shoot.
She gonna be cooking. I mean, she's already getting.
Oh, Caitlyn Clark, America's basketball sweetheart, the walking bucket, the long-range assassin, the Midwestern sniper who pulls up from the parking lot and still manages to hit nothing but net while her defender is ordering popcorn, her range seemingly limitless. You'd think this kind of transcendent generational talent would be met with, oh, I don't know, competent officiating. After watching tonight's Chicago Sky and Indiana Fever game, and countless other games this season, I think it's safe to say we can all agree that the refs are out here with the confidence of a neurosurgeon and the vision of a bat in a blackout. They're calling games like they got dared to press buttons at random, treating the rulebook like an avant-garde art piece, a work of abstract interpretation rather than a clear and consistent set of rules.
Can I say this? The Atlanta Dream, not quite Nate Tibbetts. If you guys know anything, like Nate Tibbetts, literally like he would throw 17 different looks at Caitlyn per quarter. He would throw a different look at Caitlyn. I don't know if the refs are trying to rig the game. I think they're just awful. Like the Fever have gotten a couple of bad calls their way, but like the Fever have all three challenges were terrible calls.
And it looked like Caitlyn Clark has suffered yet another hard foul, and the referees failed to make.
It's gotten to the point where Caitlyn Clark should start carrying her own whistle. Maybe if she blows it enough times mid-play, the refs will finally start paying attention to what's actually happening on the court, instead of playing Mad Libs with the rulebook. And yes, she's finally speaking up. She's finally using her voice to address the absurdity of the officiating. And thank God, because if Caitlyn Clark doesn't say something, then who will? The fans are losing their minds, expressing their frustration online. The commentators are politely confused, struggling to make sense of the calls and the refs. They're just vibing, out here making calls based on horoscopes, on the alignment of the planets, on their favorite color of the day. The biggest hurdles for Caitlyn Clark in the Indiana Fever last season weren't opposing defenses, however aggressive. They were the WNBA referees, whose inconsistent calls and perceived bias created an additional, unnecessary challenge. Now, the front office has made it their business to revamp the team, bring in more aggressive players, add strength and depth to the roster, all to help them get further in the WNBA season and possibly win a WNBA championship. But before any of that stuff could even get done, before the team can truly compete at the highest level, we have to address the misguided missile that can destroy everything this upcoming season. And that is the WNBA officiating. You know the officiating is bad when Twitter, ESPN, and your grandma, who only watches her stories, are all screaming about it, unified in their disbelief.
I can't believe this is right, but it is right, folks. And I hope we know why Caitlyn Clark got that T now, right? Caitlyn Clark in the preseason, 29 points with 0 free throw attempts. What is happening? Anybody remember special whistle? They must have a special whistle. Anybody?
There's a clock, there's where the ball can be taken out. But that's not the only reason the flow of the game was ruined, but like we're just standing there, we're waiting and we're waiting and we're waiting. And then obviously, like I said, a lot of free throws shot between both teams tonight. That makes the game more choppy when there's a lot of fouls. Excuse me. But, you know, it's tough when Coach White is put in a position to have to use both her challenges in the first half on calls that were pretty point blank, and then we're left with none there in the second half, which, you know, you can pick and choose. Maybe you save it, maybe you don't, but still, like, every single possession matters. But like I said, it doesn't come down to that. You know, no matter what, if it's a choppy game, we got to find a way to find our flow a little bit better, especially.
Caitlyn gets knocked to the floor with the kind of contact that would legally qualify as vehicular manslaughter in any other setting, and there's no whistle. But then she touches someone's jersey, a seemingly innocuous contact, and suddenly the refs are on it like it's a SWAT raid, a sudden, aggressive response. You can practically see the exhaustion on her face. Not because of the game itself, not because of the physical demands of playing professional basketball, but because she's playing basketball on expert mode while the refs are out here throwing banana peels on the court like it's a Mario Kart tournament, creating unnecessary obstacles and chaos. She signed up for the WNBA, a professional basketball league, not an obstacle course of egregious officiating and reverse foul calls. Let's talk about consistency or the complete absence of it. One play, a blatant shove is ruled as incidental contact, and play continues. Next play, a simple screen is called an offensive foul, a seemingly harmless movement. It's like a slot machine of infractions. Pull the lever and see what today's rule interpretation is. The refs must be using tarot cards at halftime to determine the outcome of the next half. The cards say blocking foul, even though she didn't move. Yep, blocking foul. And if you think this is just about Caitlyn, if you think this is an isolated issue, oh no, these refs are out here doing interpretive dance with everyone's careers. They've got Indiana Fever fans gaslighting themselves like, well, maybe that was a foul. Maybe gravity just works differently in Indiana. No, sweetie, it's not gravity. It's just 3 blind mice in stripes blowing whistles like they're playing jazz improv, creating a symphony of chaos.
Biggest hurdles for Caitlyn Clark and the Indiana Fever last season was the WNBA referees. Now, the front office made it their business to revamp the team, bring in more aggressive players to help them get further in the WNBA season and possibly win a WNBA championship. But before any of that stuff can even get done, we have to take a look at the misguided missile that can destroy everything this upcoming season, and that is the WNBA.
And I'm going to put this loss back on the coaching staff, and I'm going to put it back on them when it comes to the defensive schemes in particular, because I don't know how you just left your players like Aaliyah Boston and like Natasha Howard on an island for the entire game and let these oversized post players go to work.
The Indiana Fever coaching staff is running out of dry erase markers from sheer disbelief. Their game plan's constantly disrupted by the unpredictable officiating. They challenged 3 calls in the first half, all of them seemingly obvious errors, and all 3 go about as well as arguing with airport security over a forgotten passport. Sorry, sir, you can clearly see it's not a foul. Yeah, we looked at the footage, and we've decided it's somehow worse than a foul. It's a technical and a delay of game. You want to know how broken it is? There was a moment, legit, where Clark literally stops mid-play and laughs in disbelief because the calls were that absurd, that illogical. That's not just frustration. That's a person reaching a higher level of consciousness, a state of being where the only logical response to the absurdity is laughter. That's the face of someone who's not even mad anymore, just quietly amazed that the refs remembered to put on shoes before coming to the game.
The Indiana Fever coaching staff just subbed out Caitlyn Clark during the clutch. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. The game was on the line, it was under 30 seconds left, and they subbed her out. Caitlyn Clark was out of the game for a defensive possession.
Another year and another case of WNBA referees dropping the ball, not making the right calls when it comes to Caitlyn Clark. Bruh, how we one game away for the start of the season and we have already Caitlyn Clark getting fouled extremely hard. Look back at the referee like, damn, you didn't just see me get annihilated in the head. And the referee, nothing.
And yes, she's tired. We're all tired. We're tired of watching her box score look like a war crime, filled with fouls that should never have been called. We're tired of seeing players launch at her like it's dodgeball in gym class with no repercussions, no whistles blown. We're tired of refs squinting at instant replay like they're trying to read ancient Sanskrit, deciphering a language they don't understand. And I'm going to put this loss back on the coaching staff, and I'm going to put it back on them when it comes to the defensive schemes in particular, because I don't know how you just left your players like Aaliyah Boston and Natasha Howard on an island for the entire game and let these oversized post players go to work scoring at will. What's the end game here? Let her get injured because no one will call anything? Tank her rookie year because refs are mad she's too good too fast? Are we trying to encourage star players to go silent, to stop speaking their minds, to stop challenging the status quo? Because, spoiler alert, that's not how you build a league. That's how you bury one, slowly and painfully. Maybe it's time for the WNBA to hold a little officiating one-to-one seminar. First slide, this is a foul. Second slide, still a foul. Third slide, if you can see their dental work on the replay, it's a foul. And then just loop that on a projector for 8 hours, a mandatory training session. Because right now, it's embarrassing. Caitlyn Clark's talent is being sabotaged by a rotating circus of whistle-happy chaos gremlins who seem personally offended by competence. The league has a golden ticket, a generational talent who can elevate the sport, and the refs are using it as a napkin, wiping their messy hands all over its potential.
They need to be investigated ASAP. We see what's happening with Caitlyn Clark. There's no reason you shouldn't be protecting your star player, because without Caitlyn Clark, there won't be no sold-out arenas. The viewership on TV would not be like it is now, where everybody's watching it because it's must-watch TV.
You can tell Clark's hit that breaking point. That look in her eye like she's 2 bad calls away from going full Ron Swanson and building her own basketball league out of wood, sanity, and basic logic. And the fans would follow, trust me. If she played in a gym lit by candles with unpaid refs from Craigslist who had at least watched a basketball game once, it'd still be better than what we're watching now. Another year and another case of WNBA referees dropping the ball, not making the right calls when it comes to Caitlyn Clark. Bro, how are we 1 game away from the start of the season, and we have already seen Caitlyn Clark getting fouled extremely hard? She'll look back at the referee like, damn, you didn't just see me get annihilated in the head? And the referee? Nothing. So yeah, she's tired. And so are we. Tired of bad calls. Tired of weird vendettas disguised as officiating. Tired of talented women getting dropped on hardwood while the refs debate whether the foul occurred on the third plane of existence, in an alternate dimension where rules are suggestions. If the WNBA wants to grow, and clearly it does with all the hype, all the energy, all the potential, then maybe, just maybe, someone should send the memo to the folks in stripes, because no one's here for another season of oops, all blunders. Until then, Caitlyn Clark will keep bawling, the fans will keep screaming, and the refs, they'll keep conducting seances at the monitor to figure out if maybe, just maybe, that was a foul. Or maybe it was just the wind. Or maybe they don't know, because that's the magic of WNBA officiating right now. It's not a science, it's a lifestyle, an abstract performance, a shared delusion we've all agreed to participate in game after game. Every time Caitlyn Clark steps on the court, it feels like she's entering an alternate universe where logic took a permanent vacation and the referees are guided by dreams they had during a NyQuil nap. At this point, the rules don't just bend, they perform full yoga routines, twisting and contorting themselves to justify the inexplicable. They need to be investigated ASAP. We see what's happening with Caitlyn Clark. There's no reason you shouldn't be protecting your star player, because without Caitlyn Clark, there won't be no sold-out arenas. The viewership on TV would not be like it is now, where everybody's watching it, because it's must-watch TV. The league needs to protect its investment. You'd expect some accountability, or at least a whisper of remorse. But nope, not a word, not a press release, not even a, "yeah, we blew that one," muttered into a pillow. Instead, it's silence, as if officiating disasters are just part of the ambiance, like squeaky sneakers or motivational posters on locker room walls, a normal part of the WNBA experience. At this rate, Caitlyn's going to need a chiropractor for all the shoulder checks, elbows, and blindside screens the refs refuse to acknowledge. She'll need a second career just to fund the therapy bills from being gaslit on national television. Every bad call chips away at the integrity of the game. It erodes trust. And the worst part? Everyone sees it. Fans, players, analysts, rival teams. No one's fooled. And still, Caitlyn endures. She pushes forward, refuses to fold, and plays through the nonsense with the fire of someone who knows she's bigger than the chaos, bigger than the bad calls, bigger than the officiating absurdity. But don't confuse her restraint for indifference. When she finally speaks, it's with the kind of precision that should make the entire league stop and listen. Because if even she's had enough, then the WNBA better wake up fast. Because this isn't just about one player. It's about the future of a league standing at the edge of greatness. Its potential held back by a whistle wielded by people who still can't tell the difference between contact and clobbering.